So there are some Ethan updates in relation to Chris, who we watched yesterday. And I think they're interesting. And I think they force us to have a larger conversation around everything happening. But before we jump in, I want to give you guys an update on the defamation case that Ethan is basically losing. So let me show you this article I found from The Wrap. This is YouTuber Ethan Klein loses anti-SLAPP appeal and producer Brian Kavanaugh's defamation case. Ethan had a long time feud with Kavanaugh.
Trillers on my nuts. Brian Kavanaugh's f***ing with me. Like, there's no question about it, right?
For sure.
And again, I think that's why it's so hurtful to see Ethan going after Noah and in Mudahar going after Noah.
The reason why I'm talking about it right now is because he's doing a thing that I think is completely appropriate, suing another YouTuber and like creating a completely ridiculous lawsuit with claims that another YouTuber has defamed you for directly posting your statements, not even like that's clipped out of context in general, but directly. He's not suing Noah. No, he is. He wants to sue Noah for defamation. He said he issued a retraction, a cease and desist.
Because like, girl, why are we setting this precedent? He was accusing Kavanaugh of running like a Ponzi scheme. So it says YouTuber Ethan Klein lost a motion to dismiss the defamation case brought up against him by the producer Ryan Kavanaugh after the California Court of Appeal upheld a prior ruling on Thursday. Klein, who's famous for his H3H3 podcast and internet troll persona. Internet troll persona.
Hey, what up, peeps? It's your boy Ethan from H3H3. The sun finally came out. It's a beautiful, nice, warm day here in New York City. Vape Nation!
I didn't know that's how people saw Ethan, but I guess it makes sense. He's such a lolcal now. You might as well call him Johnny what's his name? Johnny Salami? Johnny Tsunami? Johnny Tsunami? You might as well call him Ice Poseidon. What? Okay. Filed an anti-SLAPP motion to try to get the former Relativity Media CEO and film financier's initial complaint stricken, claiming his comments fall under free speech after Kavanaugh accused the influencer of defamation. Exactly why Ethan is going after Noah. And reminder that according to yesterday's stream that we watched yesterday, Ethan is willing to spend even $1 million to take down Noah Samsen. Noah, a far smaller content creator. And for what? For what? Because you disagreed with his assessment of you, dude? Okay, Joey Salad. Chaz says Joey Salad. Ryan Kavanaugh brought an action against Ethan Klein and TED Entertainment for defamation and defamation by implication, but alleging they falsely accused him of running a Ponzi scheme. The court explained in a summary of documents obtained by The Wrap. The trial court denied defendants' anti-SLAPP motion to strike Kavanaugh's complaint, we affirm. It says, according to the filings, the case started with Variety published a June 2019 article entitled Ryan Kavanaugh accused by ex-partner of running a Ponzi scheme. So, okay, somebody said this on my comment section yesterday, and I think it's so right, that Ethan will hear the tiniest detail about somebody and just run with it. That Ethan will hear the tiniest negative thing about somebody and then make a whole narrative around that thing, which, don't get me wrong, I think we've all done, but Ethan is actually kind of infamous for it. Like, he has a literal reputation. He hears one thing. That's why he ran with this idea that Noah Samsen was like a creep. He hears one thing. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. It's up to us, especially Ethan being 40. Like, we have got to grow out of this childish behavior of being like internet trolls, right? And Kavanaugh is a piece of shit. Chat's right. We're not Kavanaugh fans here, right? It's not about being a fan of Kavanaugh. It's about being disappointed that Ethan spends all of his millions of dollars going after people instead of actually like giving to charity, helping communities, uplifting people. Ethan is exactly the stereotype of a rich person that progressives don't like. Like, you are the rich guy that just doesn't use your money for good. You became rich, and then what do you use your money for? Elon Spar filed a lawsuit against Kavanaugh in Los Angeles Superior Court on June 6, 2019, alleging that Kavanaugh persuaded him to go into business with Kavanaugh under false pretenses. Spar had developed an idea for a stock exchange in which buyers could purchase equity in film projects. However, the outlet later updated its coverage to include a statement from Kavanaugh's team that he and Spar had satisfactorily resolved all of their issues. Then in April of 2021, Thriller Fight Club 2 sued Klein and his broadcast company for copyright infringement after they used the footage of their pay-per-view fight. So you guys remember that, right? At that time, Klein alleged that Kavanaugh was behind the lawsuit despite not being directly involved. Okay, Kavanaugh's complaint alleges that beginning of June 11, 2021, Klein launched a campaign to harass and defame him in retaliation for the Triller Fight Club 2's copyright action. Klein used his YouTube channels and other social media platforms to disseminate the defamatory accusation in the Variety article that Kavanaugh ran a Ponzi scheme. You know what's interesting? Could Noah Samson use the same defense against Ethan for weaponizing his community? And I did check in with Hassan to see what Hassan was up to in relation to the Chris video that came out, Chris K video. And Hassan was saying that he doesn't want to sue Ethan because he thinks it's kind of like basically shitty behavior. And I think there's something to that. I think it is shitty behavior, right? What do you guys think about that? I don't know if I think better of Hassan or if I think Noah should, I think Noah should stand up for himself and everybody he represents. But I can understand why Hassan doesn't do it because Ethan isn't bullying Hassan. He's not going after somebody who's on his level. He's going after Noah. Do you know what I'm saying? So Hassan is willing to back Noah. I think we're all willing to fund Noah's defense because, again, just like we funded Ethan's, we don't think that this is how we want the platform to be, right?
If there's a GoFundMe, if you were to set up a GoFundMe, if you were to actually get sued, I would absolutely fundraise for it.
But then it begs the question, and this is the larger conversation I want to have after we watch Chris's response to this. What responsibility do we have as content creators to stop being kids in our bedrooms and / ordinary people and start being professionals in the sphere? When do we stop dreaming of YouTube being this, artistic outlet, this thing that regular people can do and accept that it's now become a business where somebody has to show up and be professional, right? Chat says girly calling someone a genocide supporter with no proof is defamation. You don't have to prove somebody's a homophobe. You can just know they voted for Trump. What are you talking about? Pushing Israeli propaganda makes you a genocide supporter. That's what it is. You're thinking too deeply about it. You are what you are. You cannot vote for somebody who's so anti-LGBTQIA. You cannot vote for somebody who's so anti-women and have it be something, quote, you have to prove. You don't have to prove it. You said it with your chest. Ethan, whether he likes it or not, falls into the category of genocide supporter because of the way that he pushes Israeli propaganda.
We're planning to go to Israel in June with my parents and all the kids. It's going to be such a great trip. And I'm actually really excited to go there. I want to show you guys.
You haven't been there in so long.
It's been a long fucking time. What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that when you listen to Hassan and you hear all these fucking mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, crazy, like Jim Crow style of society. Like, I can't wait to show you guys how beautiful, how multicultural, how free it feels for people, or just it's a beautiful place. It is. It's one of the most diverse places I've ever been. And
whether he realizes it or not, that's what he's doing. Same thing like homophobes and bigots won't accept that they're bigoted because they're like, oh, I'm just religious. Like, it's my religion. Okay, well, your religion is bigoted. You might not like your category, but that's what it is. That's just what's happening. Ultimately, Kavanaugh's lawyer, Amy McCann Roller, issued the following statement. This is an important case about the growth of online and professional trolling, which required a real analysis when free speech is no longer a harmless opinion. When does free speech become harmful? I'll link this article in the chat so you guys can check it out. That's the question. As YouTubers, when is it our job to stop just being people with opinions and start being held to higher standards, which was the whole point of YouTube. The whole point of YouTube felt like a middle finger to the establishment. Regular people making great content, holding opinions, right? Again, I'm trying to figure out when is it our responsibility to change how we talk, how we show up. I love edgy humor. I'm trying to move away from it. I'm trying to outgrow my streamer language. I'm trying to move into my 40s gracefully in a few years. Ethan is in his 40s, right? He's going to be 40 this next year, I think. So he's already there. And I want to be in a very better place by the time I'm Ethan's age. I have a few years, but by the time I'm Ethan's age, I can't still be a edgy girl on the internet, right? We have to kind of grow out of this because we are the aunties and uncles. We're the elders. We're the older people group. And we have to be there for younger people, right? While listening to them and, learning from them because young people also have things to say. So that's my question. Now, Chris responded to Ethan responding to him, and we're going to use his video to kind of highlight this response from Ethan because it's not a very long one, of course, because Ethan is always playing defense. But here's Chris explaining what happened.
Last night, Ethan Klein spoke about me on his podcast, and he is still choosing to ignore my video. I'll just show you what he said.
Surprise, surprise. Noah is promoting Ethan Zionist confirmed. By the way, I can't get over it, man. it's just so easy to get views on YouTube right now by using my name. I'm pretty sure this channel, it popped up on the subreddit, his normal videos get like 200 views. And then all of a sudden, this guy's he's an expert on Zionism and Israel history, and now he's got 80,000 views, probably his most viewed video by far.
Now, if you're wondering what this is in relation to, it's about a long-form video I made on YouTube called The Confused Zionism of Ethan Klein. But I have a lot to say to this, because first of all, I did not become an expert in Zionism overnight. I started learning about this when I was 17. I literally had no idea what Zionism or Palestine really was before this point. But I read the work of Ilan Pappé and Noam Chomsky on Palestine, and I was shocked. I wanted to learn more. I got an undergraduate degree in Middle Eastern Studies, and last year I got a master's, for which I received a prize for having a high average, and also received a distinction for my dissertation. I spent time around some of the foremost experts in Israel, Palestine, and also the Middle East as a whole. And on the topic of my YouTube channel being small, of course it is. I've made about 5 videos that are all rather low quality because I've always been a TikToker. I've been doing this for 2 years. I founded a platform with the literal goal of teaching young white Western people who look like me more about Palestine. Because as I say, I didn't know anything when I was younger. I should have known, because what's been happening in Palestine is not some distant thing. It is British policy, it is Western policy, and it is our history. Britain literally created the problems that are there today. And on the topic of using Ethan's name to get views, yeah, of course I did. It was on YouTube. I wanted to grow my channel on that platform, and I wanted to highlight someone like you, Ethan, who spreads dangerous Zionist propaganda to an audience of impressionable people who follow you regardless of what you're saying. You tell people you are going to Israel to show them the real side of a country that is currently perpetrating unimaginable crimes against humanity. And I'm sorry, but this is the name of the game with talking about Palestine. Content around this topic is so suppressed by social media algorithms. So what you need to do is tap into things that people are interested in, whether that's world events, politics, streamers, drama, shit like this. Because through this, you can force out information to a far larger audience, perhaps even to impressionable people who you can sway the opinion of, and you can teach them something about something that matters so much more than all of this drama. In fact, I'm ashamed to say it, but there is an old video on my platform from around August of 2023 when I am very sympathetic towards you. I am really ashamed of it. I used you and Healer when I was a fan of you because of Leftovers and thought that you were actually doing more for Palestine than other content creators. But look at you now. That's why I'm doing this, Ethan. It's not just drama. It's not because I don't know anything about Palestine. And it's not just because I wanted views. What I did was I forced out information about you to hundreds of thousands of people, and I grew my YouTube channel, and I am now going to keep on doing that.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Look, the name of the game for all of history has been become the loudest, get the most views. And the worst people are the best at it because they don't have any morals. There is no limitation to what they're willing to say about people and what they're willing to spread about people. So they don't care. And I think that we have to be better than the trolls. We have to have rules. And I know a lot of people, listen, I don't really hang out with a lot of like basic Democrats, but sometimes I'll hear from people like, I'm sick of being the bigger person. If you're sick of being the bigger person, then it was never part of your values. Being the bigger person is about doing what's right. So if you don't want to keep doing what's right, girl, you can go hang out with Ethan Klein. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do what's right, regardless of how low they go. You can't go low with them. Now, you can get exhausted. You can be frustrated. The world rewards the worst of us, because it does. The world does, because the world is a reflection of us as a whole. Either you have to accept that the world is full of pretty bad people and we're all a part of that bad and we have to do less bad, but you have to accept that the world is suffering because the majority of the world is suffering. And suffering doesn't make you a good person, by the way. We all suffer. Bad people suffer too, guys. You have to accept that you want to do the right thing even when they do the wrong thing, which does mean that you can feel frustrated, talk to your therapist about it, always having to take the high road. But you can take the high road and still get the views. You can take the high road and still contend with them. You just have to do it in a way that makes sense. So he's doing it from an educated perspective. He's doing it from with his chest said it, yes, I'm using you for views to counter your bad ideas. But yeah, like, yes, chat says, like, even the mainstream news uses celebrities to get the eyes. Even the mainstream news works the same way. They're fighting for views. They're fighting for your attention. So they move more sensational. They do sort of become drama themselves. It's very frustrating because I know we'd love to live in a world where everybody is calm and concise and reasonable. That's why we love watching SBS, because the way that they talk is like the most ideal. They are the minority of people. So as long as the majority of people are, you know, drama fueled, they want the views, they want the tension, it is what it is, right? I think that it's weird for us to say, especially on this channel, since we're a philosophy channel, it is weird for us to say that philosophy is a minority, you know, small community hobby or interest. It's weird for us to say that most people aren't introspective in the way that it would be ideal. It's weird for us to acknowledge that people on whole aren't educated enough and then to be surprised that the world is the way that it is. The world is the way that it is because it's a reflection of where humanity is right now. And so if you realize like you're a little different than everybody else and you're trying to be different in a good way, not in an egotistical, narcissistic way, but like in a good way, and you're like, okay, how can I do better for my community? Then you have to understand that you're the 1 in 10, because that's the difference. At the end of the day, even if you're interested in politics, you are a minority. If you voted this past election, you are a minority. And so you have to realize, like, of course, people aren't as interested in what you're doing because most people aren't. And I think sometimes we forget that because we think politics is so, like, we forget it's kind of niche. That's why you'll meet people who say, like, I don't have time to pay attention on politics. And that is probably the majority of people. My family was so weird because all of us were very involved in politics. My siblings, my parents, we all sat at the dinner table every night and discussed like what we saw in the news today. What do you think about this so-and-so election? I remember being like 10 years old talking about elections with my family and my neighbors. What 10-year-old do you know who's like sitting here very heavily interested in politics? And that wasn't just my doing. That was the environment I grew up in. I grew up with political parents, which means I grew up hearing about politics. How many families aren't talking about politics around their kids? Or how many people think like your kids don't need to know about politics because they're kids, even though politics are impacting children every day, and children's voices could help give some of these adults wisdom in terms of the struggle that kids are facing, right? So what do you guys think is your content creators' responsibility? Because I know the audiences will say they want like maturity, they want people to, but the numbers don't show that. The numbers do not show that people watch things unless that's what Noah Samson was saying when he said, when I talk about Palestine, nobody watches. But when I say influencers, Ethan Klein, you guys watch, he is saying something really true about humanity. All of these boy bubbles, all these debate bubbles, they all say they're serious about the topics they're covering, but you love it when it's fueled via drama. And look, I'm not above that either. I do love my drama, but I also know that in my private time, I spend a lot of time watching philosophy lectures. I listen to podcasts. I'm listening to audiobooks. I know that in my personal life, I'm not just consuming drama. So I know that that's not true for me in my private life, but it might be true for me as a streamer. It's definitely better for my views when I cover drama stuff than when I cover like serious podcasts about philosophy. The moment I post a serious podcast about philosophy or like I share it on stream, views go way down. And I'm not here to fight that. I'm not here to fight human nature. I'm just here to explain it and to sort of expand on it and then do the best with what we can. So I think Chris, did I link his TikTok? Let me link the TikTok again in case I forgot. So I think Chris is making a very valid point, as did Noah, and I'm on board with that, and I'm going to say it myself. Like, if drama is the only way you're going to listen, then like I'm going to make some really great points using drama, which is kind of what we do when we watch Love is Blind and everything. I mean, the whole point of watching reality TV is to explain the human condition, because we're talking about people. We always think like people rise above their nature. People don't rise above nature. People are nature. We only have deeper relationships with that nature. We rise above our base instinct, our base biology, but we do not ascend nature. We are simply nature ascended. It's very different. These are very different things, you know? Chat says, I don't always want maturity, to be honest. Sometimes I just want the fun. And on the other hand, I sometimes do want maturity. Hey, same. Chat says, I think it's interesting to introduce that bridge between sensationalist and calm. Noah and the guy Chris stating it clearly. And then chat says, it's a balancing game. That's why edutainment exists. Yeah, I think so. I actually think video essayists do that really well. Like, video essayists use sensationalism to bring you in, costuming, design sets, long lengths. There is a marketing part of video essayists, which is why they get the views, because you know how much went into it. But I don't think people would be watching those essays if they weren't everyone dressed up. Not at the numbers that they do. At some numbers, but not at the numbers that they do. And I think that's why those people put so much effort into creating that content. And it is, guys, it really is a lot. Costuming, design, lighting. I mean, think about Philosophy Tube. The amount of effort she has to go in to post her videos. ContraPoints, the amount of effort she has to post. The reason I say this is because I'm always curious how people think, right? My special interest people. And I wonder about this. Like, do you know when you are a consumer that is the minority and when you're a consumer that's a majority? Like when you shop at Costco, do you know the difference between the customers that go to every sample station and the customers who don't? Do you know if you're the customer who gets the sample and buys it and is convinced by the sample, or if you're the customer who's never convinced by the sample? I wonder this because I know for a fact I am not the person who's convinced by the sample. Actually, I'm the consumer that if I eat the sample, I'm less likely to buy the product. I am more likely to buy the product if I don't taste the sample. I find that fascinating about my brain. I am more convinced by the packaging than I ever am of the sample. The sample will be like, nah, this isn't as good as I thought it was. The box looked better. I'm a sucker for marketing boxes. If the box looks good, I'm gonna buy that. I'm like, oh, I really love this box, which is like so fascinating, right? Ooh, chat says maybe I don't like being sold stuff. I hate samples, but the interaction of the sampling, not the sample itself, it feels pushy sometimes where I feel like, I wonder if it triggers almost like my PDA in a sense where I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Cause I know you're trying to seduce me into eating or buying this thing because I tried your sample, but then it's also a guilt trip. Oh, you had a sample and you're not going to buy anything? It's like, don't guilt me. I'm going to buy it if I want to buy it. You know what I mean? I wonder about that. And I do love me a Costco run. Wait, is Costco the one we're supporting? Yeah, right? Costco's the one we're supporting, right? I'm trying to keep track, you know? Costco, yes. Sam's Club, no. Okay, got it. I really would love a Costco pretzel. Ooh. I told my partner, let's go to America, just go to Costco, you know? Chat says, can you show off your earrings? Yes. These are one of my favorite pair of earrings. They're made out of records, like music records, by a guy in New Orleans. I went to the New Orleans market on one of my road trips, and this guy makes them out of pieces on a record, and their eyeballs and he showed me like all the pieces where they came from, how he breaks the records, he smashes them, and then he repurposes them as earrings. I love that. Recycle, bitch. One of my favorite pairs of earrings. I've had them for years. Love it.